Jeff, it's an honor for the ambassador and I to be up and me to be able to talk to you. Look, one of the things that the ambassador and I made a decision early on, to quote Franklin Roosevelt, I'm going to give it to you straight from the shoulder. Not going to play games. I'll tell you when we do it right, I'll tell you when we screwed up, and tell you we take responsibility. That's what I think all of you are doing. You're giving it just straight to the people you're working with and the people you're trying to help. And we spent much too much time ignoring this. One of the things you've all mentioned is the PPE, the protective gear, and social distancing. And I know that that Melanie knows this as a pharmacist, and all of you know it from your experience, that the way we can save, we could have saved literally an awful lot of lives if people had listened. We turned wearing masks into a political statement. If you were for this thing, you wore it. If you were for somebody else, you didn't wear it. When in fact, it's just plain basic science. Science. Social distancing, so you're not coughing on one another, the particles, the ventilation you talked about, Carmen, makes a difference in community centers and the like. And so there's so many things that we can do that are just within our own power. We're probably going to be sending out an awful lot of masks around the country very shortly, millions of them. But the point is that you all, interesting, without my asking you, talked about the need to social distance. It's kind of hard to social distance in a fire truck. It's kind of hard to social distance with an EMT in the back of a wagon. But you all know it's important, and so I hope you'll. I had said when I got elected that in my first 100 days, I guaranteed people we'd get at least 100 million shots in people's arms. 100 million shots in people's arms. And 30 days in, we're about 40% of the way there. What do we have, 47?
Almost 50 million.
Almost 50 million right now. And we said we're going to do 1 million shots a day. One of the things that you and Melanie know is that we had to get vaccinators. It's one thing to get vaccine delivered, another thing to get it out of that vial into a needle and into somebody's arm. And so we worked very hard. We've probably gotten another close to 4,000 people who give vaccinations, from National Guard to the Defense Department to others, and to units within commercial operations that can have people who can do the vaccination. I've signed an executive order allowing former retired doctors and nurses to be able to come back and give vaccinations. And so we're going to beat this thing because of folks like you. And the extent you can continue to have your constituencies, and they're all different, is to make sure that they understand that social distancing matters, washing your hands matters, and the whole idea of, and I don't have to tell you that, Al, you know, you had two kids affected, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They got through it pretty good. We're blessed.
Well, thank God. So, but one of the things that, you know, again, I'm going to go back to the whole question of equity. What we're trying to do, my team and I, is get people who, in fact, have been most hurt by this pandemic to places where they are comfortable, where they have comfort in going. They don't feel like they're not intimidated by the circumstance. And they're usually, they're used to going to their grocery store. They're used to going to their drugstore or pharmacy. They're used to doing those things. But we also are trying to get out mobile units into communities, not only inner city, but rural communities that don't have as much access. You know, I guess they tell me the statistic is that the vast majority of the American people live within 5 miles of a pharmacy. Well, the point is that that may be the case, but if you're an older person living by yourself, you don't have a vehicle, and there's no public transportation, it's awful hard to get to that pharmacy. So we're working out ways now to provide mobile transportation, literally vans going into communities, and people, getting shots that are being administered by people who people tend to trust. So I'm glad. I can't tell you how much difference you're making. We've met with people all over the country via this means, and I think there's a growing awareness that, injecting bleach into your system doesn't do it for you. And I'm being, think about all the ridiculous things, and there is online still. There are those who are the vaccine deniers,
Yeah.
and telling all these stories about that aren't true. So I really appreciate you and your colleagues across the country who are continuing to push and say, no, if you can get a vaccine, get it. If you can get it as quickly as you can. Socially distanced. We're now doing a study. The COVID team, they're studying whether or not once you've had the vaccine and you've had it for the better part of several weeks, the last shot, what can you do and not do in terms of being sure that you are safe? Do you still wear a mask? Do you still socially distance, et cetera? And so we're an administration that thinks science matters. Science matters. And it has to be available to the poorest among us and those who are most hurt by this COVID crisis across the board. And that's what we're doing. Do you have any questions for me? Seriously, you can ask me anything you'd like. I can tell Carmen has a good question. I don't know, she's not sure. Should I really ask him that? I don't know. You can ask me anything you want. I'm just Joe, okay? So fire away. Do you have a question?
When are you coming to see us in Columbus?
Well, I'm going to be back in Columbus. I was in Columbus, actually now it's about literally 35 days or so ago. I came through on a whistle stop, a train, when I was trying to get the nomination, when I was trying to win the election. But I like Columbus, and I'm a Democrat, but I think your governor's doing a pretty decent job of trying to get things going. I don't think there's anything political about this. Some folks are just stepping up, and he stepped up in my impression. We disagree on things. We used to serve together. I like him, but it's not I just think this is about the science. But when I come back, if you see me, you better not say Joe Who, okay? Who is that guy? Joe Who? What was that guy's name?
Stop by the academy.
Well, I tell you what, I hope we can get to the point where that's happened. Now, the one thing I get most asked is when it's going to go back to normal. The honest to God truth is I can't tell you that. But most experts tell you that things are going to continue to change and change somewhat rapidly. I think you're going to see that next fall, it's going to be different than last fall. I think you're going to see that we're going to be going into the Christmas season better than we were. Whether it's back to complete normal, I don't know. But we're going to beat this. I promise you, we are going to together beat this. And I think that, but the idea that over 500, I have a card, I carry a card with me every day with the total number of folks who have been affected by the, as of yesterday, there were 500,071 people who died from this. 500. That's more people that died in World War I, World War II, and Vietnam combined in a year. In a year. But look, when American people set their minds to something, there's nothing we've been unable to do if we do it together. So with your help, and there's so darn many, we look at all the stuff that's, I don't know, bad or disappointing out there, but there's so darn many good, decent, honorable people in this country, and they want to get it done right. And so, in the meantime, make me one promise. You'll all take care of yourselves. We need you for real. We need you for real, okay?